Today we're going to talk about the 2025 Detroit Lions. The 2025 Detroit Lions were the definition of fantasy gold. They scored 481 points, which averaged over 28 a game, and featured a core of starters that could carry any roster. But, and it's a big but, I cannot lie, they also gave us some of the most head-scratching moments of the year. From a coaching change that sent the red zone efficiency into a tailspin, to a defense that turned every game into a 40-point shootout, the Lions were a wild ride. Today, we're looking at the 2025 Lions, the year Jameson Williams finally arrived, and how to value this Air Coryell attack heading into 2026. Let's start with the reliables. Jared Goff silenced his doubters yet again. Even with Ben Johnson moving to Chicago, Goff put up massive numbers, 4,564 yards to go along with just 34 touchdowns. He was a top 10 fantasy quarterback, again, who provided a weekly floor that few could match. Then you have the engine, the little engine that could, and Jahmyr Gibbs. He officially took over this backfield in 2025. He was the top performing running back in PPR formats for a reason. His dual threat ability is an absolute nightmare for defensive coordinators, and he's the clear alpha in Detroit now. But we can't forget about Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god. He's just basically a cheat code at this point. Fourth in fantasy points per game among wide receivers. He is the safest bet in the league for 10 targets and a high floor PPR performance. Pair them with LaPorta, who remained a top-tier tight end despite the offense's occasional identity crisis. You have a core that simply doesn't miss. Now for the messy part, replacing Ben Johnson with John Morton. Wasn't seamless. Not seamless at all, actually. Morton tried to install a more vertical Air Coryell attack style system. Now, while it did lead to huge yardage totals, it also led to some frustrating inconsistencies in the red zone. Now, this was compounded by a defense that ranked 22nd in points allowed. While shootouts are usually great for fantasy, these game scripts often forced Goff into risky throws or abandoned the run game too early. It's the reason why, despite all the talent, Lions missed the playoffs at 9-8. The rhythm just wasn't there when it mattered most. Let's talk about the breakout star, Jameson Williams. Finally! JMO stayed healthy and delivered on the hype. 65 catches, over 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He became the deep threat weapon we were promised, finishing as a high-end wide receiver 2 with week-winning boom potential. So what's the move for 2026? Well, the Lions have already moved on from John Morton and hired Drew Petzing as the new offensive coordinator. This is huge for fantasy. Red zone efficiency. Petzing's job is to turn those 6,300 total yards into more touchdowns. If he fixes the red zone play calling, Goff could be a top 5 QB. And the third option, rookie Isaac Tesla showed flashes late in the year with 6 TDs. If he steps up as a reliable wide receiver 3, this offense becomes impossible to defend. The 2025 Lions were a fantasy factory that just couldn't get out of its own way on defense. They've got an elite core and start them all with confidence. Goff, Gibbs, Sun God, LaPorta. They had a breakout. Jameson Williams is the real deal. Future's bright with a new offensive coordinator and some defensive upgrades. Detroit is a top 5 fantasy offense in 2026. But what do you think? Is JMO a top 15 wide receiver next year? Let me know in the comments.